Get in a Gate, it is episode 59. We're talking Stargate SG-1 and episode URGO. We are the full Get Into Gate team, 3 Stargate fan veterans and 1 new watcher. My name is Mitch. Joining me, Matty.
What a lovely shade of grey. Hello.
Brendan.
Me.
And our new Stargate fan, Rhys.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 row your boat gently down the stream.
Row.
I don't even know the words of row, row, row your boat.
All right, let's dig into the synopsis of the DVD, which is the way a couple of us at least are watching it, as we do each and every week, and find out what this one is all about, and let's get stuck into it. En route to a paradise planet, SG-1 is secretly implanted with an alien spore that evolves into a being called URGO. Though URGO claims to be friendly, the suspicious team members work feverishly to rid themselves of the creature before it destroys their minds.
I got a fever. And the only prescription is more URGO.
Spore. That's
That's interesting.
It's not a word I would have chosen.
Spore.
That's up there with Denizens from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's not the word I would have chosen.
The start of this episode actually reminded me of Foothold a couple of weeks ago, where I said in that ep, if you remember, obviously aliens had duplicated some of the SGC members, and from the moment that SG-1 walked back into a taken over SGC, nothing felt right, even to the audience. Like, I was never convinced that everything was hunky-dory, right? And this sort of, the way that it starts, I don't know, just the way that SG-1 spoke to Hammond, and he made those jokes. I forget, O'Neill was making those jokes before he got, it was like...
Au revoir, monseigneur.
Yeah. Oh, explain what chow is. And just, I don't know, just the language, just the dialogue being thrown around in those couple of lead-up scenes to them walking through the wormhole. I'm like... Something's weird here. Like, something's going to happen. Something's going to be really weird really quickly.
RDA's like, I'm in an episode with Dom DeLuise. I need to bring my level up to 10 to try and keep up.
So the fact they walk through the wormhole and then they're back in the SGC straight away, pre-credits.
Love when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they go through and they're back, like 1969.
Yeah.
This, and you're like, oh, what's happened?
Especially the line with Hammond, right? Because they walked in like, what's going on? We just walked through. He goes, you've been gone 15 hours.
Yeah. That blew my mind.
Oh, shit.
There's 2 Malps and
Yeah.
hit the credits.
What I didn't get is how did they get back without a code? Or would they have put their code in?
They put or URGO could have put it in. He would have known. He's in their heads. He would have known the code.
Yeah, true.
And I guess based off the end of the episode, they very much could have done it. And it was almost like as soon as they went through the event horizon, they lost their memories, because that's what happened at the end. So I guess they could have done it at the start as well and lost all memory of the journey. I don't know. But I again, having not seen this episode for years, I forgot what this was about. And only through, I guess... the coffee scene at the start, and then O'Neill eating the pie, and I'm like, oh, that's right, this is really fun. And I couldn't remember exactly why, and then it obviously takes that turn with URGO. It's just, it's an Earthbound app. It's one of these ones we say it's the budget-saving one, but it didn't feel like that necessarily.
First appearance of the new set, the cafeteria.
Yeah.
That's
is it?
The first time we've seen it. The first appearance of coloured Jello.
Yeah.
That Rhys, it becomes a running joke for the next 2 years. Like blue Jello. Everyone loves the blue Jello. The blue Jello cups, everyone loves them.
Right.
But yeah, so they had to.
Rhys is like, okay. Believe you.
So it's that was the first mention of Richard Anderson's little thing for Mary Steenburgen.
I thought it was the first. Yeah.
What? Mary Steenburgen's the girlfriend of Doc out of Back to the Future 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Dean Anderson. Well, I don't know whether Richard Dean Anderson or...
the stepbrother's mum.
Yeah.
Well, O'Neill has a massive crush on her.
Yeah.
Right.
That's his bae. That's his,
That's his bae.
His bae.
Yeah.
Actually, the coffee scene, this actually is probably one of the key sort of... And you wouldn't even recognise, I think, if we were talking about anything outside of the studio and I dropped this word, not even a line... It's a Stargate reference that I really use, and it comes from that coffee scene where Teal'c just necks that entire like pot of coffee, like steaming.
Yeah.
I know the other
How
week you were talking
awesome
about
is that?
like coffee, drinking coffee, and you can't see the heat coming off a glass
Yeah.
of coffee and things like that. Little
Oh,
nitpicks. Like that thing
You
is
can see it.
steaming,
Yeah.
and he just
they got-
drowns
Like,
himself in
he
it.
unhinged his jaw.
Yeah.
It looked like.
Yeah. There was,
His whole bottom lip was just
and
like
it was
in
so
it.
much better. There was a moment later on
That was
when
so epic.
Inhaled it.
when Urgo gets Carter to spill her tea. But that
Yeah.
one looked bad because you could clearly tell that was dry ice. Like
Yeah.
no tea like fogs that much.
Yeah.
I found this on Instagram. That I think we might have to put up on our Instagram as our post for this episode. But have a look at that one, boys.
Stargate coffee.
Classic.
So it's a
Yeah,
little
check that out.
Starbucks logo.
What does that picture?
Change
What does
this-
it say?
It says you won't believe how good it tastes.
Check that out on
Everything
our
just
socials.
yeah.
Get into Gator Stargate podcast.
That was
But
so like
So
when
good.
they like, oh,
Isn't
isn't
that
that hot? Extremely.
That's
I was
my
like,
line though,
"Oh,
right?"
You're fucking awesome.
when the way that he says, like, just how he just again, like a couple of weeks ago, did the same thing. He just cocks his head. He goes, extremely.
Yeah.
Like people will ask
I
me a
find myself
question,
doing that too.
I will say that word that way. I was like, extremely. Or the one
Yeah.
I think from what the devil, it was, can you fly this ship, Teal'c? And he's like, with great proficiency. Like
Yeah.
just the way that he
Yeah.
says that, but that extremely, I say that in my everyday vernacular.
In the same
No
way-
one would get that that's a Stargate reference. Even you guys, if I said it that way, might not pick it up. But I heard that line. I'm like, that's one of my key things from Stargate that I actually bring into my everyday life.
It's like
That's
the way we
awesome.
say indeed.
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
way
yeah,
we
yeah.
now say better.
yeah. Annoyingly so.
Wait, how f***ing hilarious was Urgo? His
Oh,
comedic
so
timing
good.
and
Dom,
just
the great Dom DeLuise, like
DeLuise.
So
Is he a DeLuise?
yeah, that's Dom DeLuise. It's so he's the father of Peter DeLuise, the director, and the other DeLuise brothers, Michael DeLuise and David DeLuise, who both actually appear in the show in later seasons.
Yeah, nice.
The first time I ever saw Dom DeLuise was Robin Hood, Men in Tights, and he plays like a sheriff of Nottingham. He plays like a godfather,
old school, yeah.
in there. Yeah. Just hilarious. And I think he's from the old like Mel Brooks group, like of
Right,
comedic
yeah.
actors and stuff like that. But check out his IMDb. He's pretty iconic.
Apparently, all his lines, well, most of his lines were ad lib as well.
Yeah.
So
True.
he just. Yeah, could you imagine on
Yeah.
set? Actually, Christopher Judge couldn't keep a straight face.
Nah, he was in tears.
He had to leave set.
Really?
they-
Really?
After like the second or third day of filming, they realized they could not do a shot that had Christopher Judge and Dom DeLuise in the same shot because
'Cause
he
he
would
kept
just
laughing.
lose it. So they changed the blocking to separate them and shot their stuff separately.
Lovely shade of grey. Oh my god.
Have you got any recordings of him?
Oh, man, I
'Cause
Is there a gag reel? Yeah,
I
to be
could have
found.
gotten.
surely when he was
No,
like
no gag reel.
No
when he
gag
said
reel.
when he said to Carter, "Oh, I remind you of your uncle, don't I?"
A boobla.
That was a crack up, man.
I could have got
Me,
every
me.
single bit of audio from this.
Oh, you
from
should
this
have,
show.
man.
I was tempted to, but I grabbed a couple of my favorites.
So, I beat what?
He gets confused. By the way, who is Mary Steenburgen?
This is, I think, we all love this one.
Wait, I can be dull. Want me to be dull? What a nice shade of gray. How about some white bread with mayonnaise? Want to watch golf on television?
It's because he says television. I don't know why that made it funnier.
And this is my absolute favorite. This is what I call this is the meaning of life right here.
I want to live. I want to experience the universe, and I want to eat pie.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Meaning of life right there. Who doesn't?
Absolutely.
I was a bit worried early on in the episode because I'm like, this could be Harlan come try 2.0
Yeah.
because he's an annoying guy that none of the team like and has done something to their minds, they think. And then the whole episode to me is like a alternate version of the game of Gamekeeper, where
Oh, yeah.
in a way, like you've got someone experiencing life, adventures, whatever, experiencing experiences
Well, an altered reality.
through these guys, right? And with some kind of hookup in their mind. It was far better than Gamekeeper, and I found him less annoying because I guess he had better lines than Harlan, but Harlan's character had a different purpose. But
Well, see, Rhys loved Harlan. That episode was your number one for season 1, wasn't it? The episode with Harlan?
Yeah, Tin
Man?
Man.
yeah, I think I was.
I think that was
Did
your...
I love him?
No, I don't think you love the episode.
Yeah, I love the episode. Do you know about
Yeah.
Harlan?
Oh, because
He
my
annoyed
thing
me.
was going to be gun to your head, Harlan or Urgo. So obviously
Oh,
it'll be
there we go, no doubt.
But that's what we said in Tin Man too, Matty. Like, you obviously loved Harlan, and and I said, "Oh, URGO's the best."
Yeah, definitely.
Like, definitely.
Yeah,
He's
without a
like, it would have been a shit episode if it wasn't for his action.
Yeah, I don't
His,
know
acting.
of many television shows where one episode relies so heavily on a guest actor.
Yeah.
Like, this would
He
have
delivered too.
This would have been
Yeah.
abysmal.
Like
you
his
know?
timing was perfect, and just the rawness of his lines. Like, and it makes sense that you say they're all ad lib because he's
Yeah.
just like, man, imagine just being around a guy that
Especially
funny.
with his son being the director, so he's like, I can get away with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to try and
His son's
annoy
just
him.
like,
Me,
do whatever
me,
you want.
me, 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 me.
And then shut up. And then Rhys says that part where he goes, "I can look like this," and he changes into like a younger version of himself. That's Peter DeLuise. That's his son.
That's the director.
That's the director.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was.
That's in like
That's the same guy that
dressed
called
as-
out the demon comes, the demon comes.
Oh, right.
Same guy.
dressed as the
Airman.
Air Force,
military, yeah.
I can
'Cause
look like this, and he had a little twinkle on his smile.
It's so funny, man, because I was watching this one with my missus as well, and I said, "Is that the same guy? Like, it kind of looks like him, but he's got hair and he's shaved. Like, would they make him shave and then come back and put a wig on him and do just for
Got
that
a really
scene?"
good body double.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's cool.
outstanding.
He looks like a famous tenor.
So many good lines.
Oh, man.
So
I
many
think
good lines.
the one I like how Mitch was saying how your favorite line is Tilk saying extremely. Mine is O'Neill saying never run with scissors. I
yes,
don't know why.
Yeah.
Appearances may be deceiving. One man's ceiling is another man's floor.
A fool's paradise is a wise man's hell.
Never run with scissors? Were you trying to make a point, mate?
There's a fun little cameo as well. There's like a grey-haired technician that you start to see, and that's actually Richard Anderson's stand-in. They actually gave him a little
Oh
in
yeah.
front of, and he starts appearing more and more. This sort of older, sort of grey-haired guy in like the blue, and kind of dressed up like Don S. Davis. He's got the blue sort of button-up shirt and stuff.
When they were sitting there, and Jackson and Tilk are playing chess, and can't remember what. When URGO is boring. That scene has to be identical to the one in Upgrades, right? Because aren't they going, let's get a steak?
Ooh. We might have to do a side by side.
Yeah.
What's that? Season 4.
Yeah.
That's pretty early on in season 4. We might have to do a side by side.
Yeah, because it looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
I reckon they've blocked it.
That didn't even
same.
occur to me.
It's another fun episode.
Nice.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know whether it's just because for the third week in a row, I think I get up early on a weekend morning and I'm awake with the kids, let the missus sleep in. But for the third week in a row, I watched this with my kids, and I think they were just a bit agitated yesterday morning, and just, I don't know, I couldn't properly focus on the episode. So like here you guys you're talking about how great this episode was, and I do like it. I liked him in it. I just don't feel like I fully appreciated the episode, considering how much we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like I need to, before next week's episode, go back and rewatch it.
Do it. Go back into your geek room, put the headphones on, and just appreciate Dom DeLuise, and just because everything he does in it is just absolute gold, and you'll really appreciate it.
I thought that too. I'm going to go back and watch it just so I can appreciate it more without having to think about, what the hell is going on here, and like, stop thinking about the plot and just
enjoy
him.
riffing. And well, now you know that most of it was improv, and like Christopher Judge couldn't keep a straight face. There are a couple of
Makes
moments
it
where early on you can see like some redness in his eyes because he's been laughing so much. And even Amanda Tapping, you see her almost breaking in a couple of moments.
Yeah.
I think there's one point where she's standing there and you can see her biting the inside of her lip, like the inside of her cheek, to try and like
Not
not
laugh.
ruin the take. It's
Try
so
the
good.
defibrillator.
I was like, a Tilk immediately just gets up and goes, and I'm like, trying to go through and remember this episode. I'm like, does he actually do it? Is he about to zap himself?
Actually, halfway through this episode, I'm thinking URGO, and then to me, I realized URGO is more like an urge or urges.
Yeah, well, I looked it up because the Latin term ergo, spelled with an E, was therefore. and then in Greek it means
Ergo, vis-a-vis.
Yeah. And then obviously in Greek it means work, like ergonomics, that sort of stuff. So so I was interested where the term, because I felt like a name like Ergo, that they name the episode Ergo and they give him that name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I think that tracks really well. Urge. It's he urges you to experience things. And,
or you have the temptation of an urge or an urge to eat that cake.
Yeah. Oh, them just sitting around eating pie.
That was so good.
Fans lose their mind over, and they started screaming. It's like, we want more of that. We want more of just them just sitting around eating pie, talking. And they slowly start putting. This is like when we're telling Rhys, it's like you start to see there'll be a pineapple in every episode because now they've got the cafeteria. They'll just put a pineapple in the background to have a bit of fun. Or Major Wood kept walking around with his giant spanner, with Siler, and Siler always getting hurt, and people realized that we didn't need the drama side of much. Like we've got that, when there's the high tension episodes, but stuff like this is really, I think, why people fall in love with the characters, because it really rounds them out.
I might get the wording wrong, but my favorite part of that, all four in diner scene, they're eating the Jello, and he's like, right, yeah, try the pie, and then Daniel's like, this is the best pie I've ever had, and I don't even like yogurt, and I love this, and then and then just the line written for Teal'c, and he's like, it is immensely satisfying, like just his way of describing things, like they're all almost carbon copy, saying the exact same thing as one another, and Teal'c just completely different, but just again it just fit. Yeah, you're right. Like that scene didn't need dialogue. It's just those four, the way that they were moving, the background, their extras dressed as like their minders, who all followed them into that room and had to sit there and just sort of facially react to what the hell are they doing? They're just eating food,
There's one dude in the background, when you watch it again, there's one dude in the background an extra who's overacting.
Yeah, no, I know. I think I know
with Just Jack.
Yeah, when Jack's sitting there and he's taking a bite, and it's like, and he's looking over, trying to look over, see what he's doing. It's like
shakes his head.
He's not doing anything.
He's just eating.
He's eating
a pie.
Oh, that's weird. He's eating a pie and enjoying it. What?
In a cafeteria.
Jeez, no one's ever seen a military guy eat a lot of food before. Oh shit! Come on, man.
And then when they go, they get called into the infirmary or wherever they called when they're all in that diner scene. He rushes back, grabs the extra piece of pie. And
that was funny.
They sort of assess and they go, look, this is what we found in you. Do you know what this means? And O'Neill's line like, that all desserts are in mortal danger or whatever.
All desserts on base are in mortal danger.
Yeah, it was interesting why this episode, I guess, moved to what it could have been at any particular moment, like pre-credits, and they've lost 15 hours of their life. Like something serious has gone on. And then post-opening credits, and all the way up, like they're experiencing the diner stuff. They're eating stuff, they've almost got, shared feelings where Daniel and Carter are off doing their own thing. O'Neill's eating a pie. They just immediately converge in the diner. They go into the infirmary or wherever, and they see, as described in the synopsis, as an alien spore, but the tiny little device, microchip in their brains.
So this is microscopic.
Yeah,
like
it's
a head of a pin or something.
Yeah, times by 1,000. This is what it looks like. Like this, sort of like alien spider type thing. And you're like, shit, they've got an alien implant. And what can it be taken out? Not without absolute 100% guaranteed brain damage. We cannot remove this. And it's like, shit, like it went from, missing time to they've basically got a death sentence here, to then this sort of like comedy show for the rest of the episode. So it just went from, for me, 3 different arcs that really work so well together. Like I did really appreciate that, even though I fully didn't immerse myself in this episode like I should have. I really got that it moved in different places, but seemed to all fit together really well. So like DeLuise again, like he could be forgiven, I think, for casting his father in this episode and playing, like you said, Brendan, such a vital role, relying completely on his father as a supporting character,
I feel
but
like
still managing to make it work. Like I feel like he could have very easily gotten lost as a director, having his dad, in the episode, a big name.
I reckon like Brad Wright and Jonathan Glasner went, they're getting to know Peter. He's done a few episodes. They're like, do you reckon we can get your dad?
Yeah.
Like
you're awesome, but
like you're cool, but we'll write him an episode.
He's directed 10 episodes so far. Do you think if we get it now, he's not going to think this is exactly why we brought him on in the first place?
Bring him in. How's your dad's health? Is he all right?
I got that in the can. I got Ergo ready to go.
Well, I loved it at the end how when they come back the second time, and then they still couldn't remember, but we'd seen everything that happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, that just filled it in real nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And they didn't worry about the, oh well, we're gonna lock that out of the dialing device or any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't sort of need that.
Yeah.
But
I think it touched nicely, similar to Pretense, where it makes you think about AI or artificial intelligence, like Tin Man as well. Touched on that, like, well, what is life? And he's actually alive. Are you scared of death? And
Well, the thing that got me the most was when we go and meet his creator Togar, who is the same guy. The same guy, and he's created this AI in his own
as handsome
image.
as he is evil.
And it actually, it's funny you mentioned Gamekeeper earlier because that starred Dwight Schultz.
Yeah.
Now in a different sci-fi show that he was in,
Mate, this is a room. This is a comfortable room, a safe room.
be yourself, mate.
3 times.
Star Trek Voyager.
Got him.
He's a very neurotic character in that. Like, he's very...
holy shit! I only just realised that was him.
That's him.
He's in Next Generation.
Yeah, that's
I
where he
just watched
started,
that.
and
yeah.
So he creates a hologram because holograms are very prominent in Star Trek, like holographic people. He creates a version of himself that he sends to this ship to go and help them and everything, and he makes that hologram. He's really nervous and introverted and stutters and, he's not good around people. Well, he makes this hologram everything he's not. The life of the party, the ladies' man, all the, all the guys want to hang out with him, all the ladies want to get with him, all that kind of thing. And I kind of feel like that's what Togar did. He made URGO all the things that he wishes he could be.
Yeah.
It's like if Togar was like URGO, he could just explore and meet people the same way SG-1 do. He could just go and meet people, but he's a bit cranky and he's not good with people, and so he sends the URGO out to be everything that he's not.
Did anyone see that movie with Bruce Willis probably 6 or 7 years ago now, Surrogates?
Yeah.
And it was set in the future, and everyone had like a
robot.
a robot double.
Oh,
Spoiler, I guess, because you don't. If you go in having read the synopsis, but if you just start fresh in that story, you don't know that that's what a lot of the characters are. And once you actually they like disconnect themselves Matrix style back in their home, most of them are completely different people. So basically, they go and make up these bodies that are exactly what they want to be.
I could be in my house and never leave, but as I leave my house, my surrogate looks like Lincoln. And I could just go out and just do whatever I want.
I feel like of all the people in the world, you could have picked the guy that's never here, but,
That's because he's at home on charge.
But it is an interesting, concept to be able to create something like that. I actually had forgotten that, Togar was played by Dom DeLuise as well. Yeah, it was a nice touch considering he had that deep alien voice booming through the SG scene. I'm like, really? Another alien that speaks like that? Yeah. But then you get there and you realise that's why he did that.
That's the gag.
Yeah.
And, another episode, it's like, part of the episode involves like a weird amphibious alien frog getting like laser beams in its head, and you're just like, this is really kind of out there, but it all works. Like,
weird, and then he disappears. I'm like, did he just kill it?
Yeah, it's like with the wave of its hand, it's like it's gone. It's like, huh?
Flushed it.
So I think on the last 3 episodes, we've had Foothold, Pretense, URGO. So Foothold, there's aliens. Pretense, the Nox appear. And URGO in this one.
Yeah.
And that's 3 things that we never see again.
Oh, yeah.
Never see the Nox again.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that last week.
Sorry to spoil
actually, I had a
Rhys.
note here to tell Rhys about that last week, and I totally forgot that. Yeah, that's the last appearance of any Nox. They talk about them more, but that's the last time we actually see one on screen. We see more of the Tolan.
So I remember us saying, we know what happens in the future, that's why we love the Nox, but it's more of their dynasty or what they are.
It's almost like what we don't see. And again, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk around this, so I don't spoil it for Rhys. But there's a recurring characters introduced in the final episode of this season, which I think are great. The first few times we see them.
Oh, yeah.
But then
it just drags.
It starts to get...
That's why I stopped liking Robert C. Cooper.
Yeah, the show relies on it too much. And it's... Especially, and I really, really... I love the season 4 finale on Vorash with the sun and all that sort of stuff. Season 5 opener, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Because of this same reason. So, I think the reason why we nerd out over the Nox so much is because, yes, they've only been in
3 episodes.
3 episodes, and 2 of them were just Liar, just rocking
Yeah.
up, being a boss. But it's just, obviously, there's the connection to the 4 great races, and we do tend to go off into more of some of the other great races than we do with the Nox. But knowing they're a part of that, and just these few little glimpses we get at them, because they are so far beyond and they're so ethereal.
Yeah.
They're like these.
I think if you did any more, you'd probably ruin it.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is it's like if they did to them what they do to these characters we get at the end of the season, it's like we could have gotten sick of the Nox.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that they're just wrapped up in a neat little bundle, and there they are, and there they'll always be.
But wait till we get to the Furlings. You will be buzzing.
Whew, mate. I mean, some would say you see too much of them.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
And just out of nowhere too. That's weird.
Yeah. You'll get that joke in about 4 years. I
look forward to it, boys.
We'll just bring out the last couple of weeks. I know last week in Pretense, and there was a great moment during the triad, or trial, as we know about it here on Earth, where, what was his name? Zapakna, was it?
Yeah, Zapakna.
And he, brings up the argument that we criticize the Gould for enslaving humans, and they're sentient. He goes, well, you eat animals, and O'Neill arguing, well, they're not self-aware, so they're not as alive as we are in a way of putting it. And we said it's an interesting argument about what is alive and what isn't. And I wish I would have had the knowledge of this episode last week, because that is, the great question is that what is alive? Like, this guy is just a computer program, really. Like, he doesn't physically exist at all, but the idea that he is a Terminator, he is self-aware, he fears death and all these other things. And it really started to make me think, like, with last week talking about animals, and I've got plenty of animals at home, and I'm like, okay, well, they sure as hell they've got that sense of fear and self-preservation. At what level does that put them?
But can they pay your bills?
Exactly. Well, they're cute as hell. I mean, if they were modelling dogs, absolutely they
I've
could.
been in a couple of dog shows.
Yeah. But just some real and it's strange that they saved that element for right at the end of the episode, which is, I guess, what changed the episode from just them going to the planet and going, get it out of me. Okay, it's out. On your way. It was
Plus, he's such a lovable character, you don't want to see him just disappear.
No.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of like an episode of Scrubs, where it's all just like funny and comedic and slapstick, and then right at the end of the episode, it's like ba 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 ba, and they just have that real, just sentimental moment.
It'd probably be funnier if we watched Scrubs.
Oh, really? Is this another show I'm going to get shit about? Nobody watches Scrubs.
I watched a few episodes here and there.
That's probably in my top 10 most rewatched shows ever.
No, it's good. It was fun, and it's kind of fun as the audience to know that URGO not only lived beyond the end of the episode, but that he lived on to annoy someone else the way that he annoyed SG-1, and it was his creator and his exact replica.
I just realised. You know how we were talking about Origins and how what we would have preferred is like some little like just 10-minute standalones, We've talked about the first time the 4 great races get together, blah, blah, blah. Imagine just a 10-minute, just single shot, one man, just Dom DeLuise, just Togar
annoying himself.
Togar talking to URGO. Like, cause remember at the end of the episode, you don't see URGO anymore. Like, SG-1 doesn't see URGO because he's out of the machine. So you just see Togar talking to URGO, and they're like, we know that he's there.
Yeah.
Imagine just 10 minutes of Dom. I mean, unfortunately, he did pass away in 2009. But imagine, like, if you just had just 10 minutes of just Dom DeLuise just riffing of just him and URGO, just having a conversation inside his head. How amazing would that be?
Or even 10 1-minute scenarios, like just weird skits all put together for one 10-minute episode.
Well, cool. I mean, I feel like he could riff 3 minutes just on that frog.
Yeah,
like, I mean, he didn't see it. I think the only reason he didn't do any gags about it is because it wasn't there. It was done in post, so he wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah.
I reckon if he, if Dom ever did sit back and watch the episode, if he's one of the people who can actually watch his own performances, he would have had 10 minutes of gear just on that frog.
Yeah.
Now, does Tor Alexander Valenza, the writer, does his name pop up too much more in the future? I feel like last time he was up, you said there was not too much more to come from him. And I guess, in a way, do you reckon this is his favourite or least favourite day of work? Writing this episode, do you think he wrote a complete episode and then they just completely rewrote it on set every day?
I think he'd be used to that because Richard Dean Anderson does that. Quite a lot. Early on.
Well, because I'm a nerd and I listen to audio commentaries on like Buffy, for example, is a lot of the writers on there. they'll go, oh, everyone comes up to me and they'll say, oh my God, I love the episode you wrote of Buffy. My favorite parts with this. And then they're like, yeah, they're all the bits that Joss added when he did his parts on it. So yeah, Tor would have been the same, I reckon.
That he's ad lib.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I tell you what, I reckon Tor learnt a lot in his time on SG-1. His first episode he wrote was Spirits. Holiday.
Yeah, I like that.
He had excerpts written from Legacy, so he got a credit of that. Point of View, which you guys liked with the Quantum Mirror.
Yep.
He wrote Past and Present with Kira Linnea. He wrote URGO, and then his final one, which I think he ends on a high almost, is Season 4's Divide and Conquer, which is the Zaytark.
It's not a bad run.
He's done all
This
right.
has to be his best one.
Yeah, I think standalone, this is his best. I think Divide and Conquer has a bit more long-lasting effect to the series. But yeah, you got to be happy with that. Even if, Dom DeLuise just did all his own gear. He'd be like, I'll take the credit for that. That's fine.
That's true.
No, Tor, we'll do what you wrote. Yeah, for sure. We'll just might do it still another.
Look, we'll do your
take,
we'll do your take, and then we'll do another. Yeah.
The bit where I'm like, it's such a tricky thing, I guess, as an actor, when they do have characters like this, where they have an imaginary friend or whatever, when Amanda Tapping's walking through the hall and she's talking to URGO, but that's one of the shots where we as an audience don't see him. We're every other character in the show. And just everything relies on her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you would not react that way. You would not put inflections on that that particular way if you were actually talking to an actor, an opposing actor.
They should have done a run through with him.
Such and such phrase. Oh, URGO, that is rude. And I'm like, you haven't spoken that way the entire episode. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, it's not entirely her fault because you're not working against anybody. It's such a tricky thing. But you're right.
She does that a lot, Amanda Tapping, when she plays against herself in the Quantum Mirror one that you just
Point of View.
Like, it's like, just overacting a little bit.
Yeah, because there's nothing there on the other half that she's going to.
Yeah, you can't work.
You're hoping, you would hope, like in Holiday, how we said they would do a one take with Dom DeLuise.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't be walking as fast as she was down that corridor either. Like, she was...
He'd be on a scooter. Or,
that would have been funny.
If it was shot last year, he would have been on a Segway.
Yeah.
He would have been having fun. It does remind me of, there's a great scene in the 200th episode, 200. And they do but they're actually like telling stories, Rhys. So they do these little cutaways. It's almost like a Family Guy episode. They're doing cutaways. And there's a cutaway to a story we never see where Jack's invisible. And Teal'c is walking down that corridor talking to an invisible O'Neill. And in the behind the scenes, what it turns out is they actually put Jack in like a full green screen suit.
No way.
And he's walking along next to Teal'c holding a mug, doing the scene, gesticulating, all that sort of stuff. And then they have to brush O'Neill out.
Wow.
So but Teal'c's actually reacting to O'Neill throughout the whole thing.
That's cool.
And you just see the mug just sort of waving about.
And you're like,
stuff.
that looks so good.
Yeah.
Like, why is that so real?
Yeah. So it's like you do kind of wish they'd almost done that with this episode.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because I think the best moments where they show the scene from everyone else's point of view is that one you were referring to before, Brennan, with the me, and he's like, oh, can you shut up? Yeah. And they cut immediately to Hammond's point of view, and you just see Richard Dean Anderson just yelling at this empty chair. Yeah. And you're like, oh, man, these guys are crazy. Like, there's a lot of moments, even when you do see Dom DeLuise, where I found myself looking at it from everyone else's point of view, and I'm like, you guys are fucking mental. Like, I, again, wanted to almost re-edit the scene, but even just drop the audio. Or listen to this episode. Turn away and listen to it having dropped all of Dom DeLuise's
think of that.
Lines, and just to see how that scene would sound to everybody else in the room. And it's
given that
it'd be a crazy conversation.
Like the defibrillator scene. That would be the best one to do it.
Well, I feel like 90% of everything Fraser and Hammond did in this episode was just looking at each other in disbelief.
That was good.
These fuckers are crazy.
There was one time where there was a guard standing in the doorway, and it looked like that he looked straight at URGO.
Oh,
yeah, right.
And I'm like, literally, like,
classic extra.
It was just blatant, just like
turn him 90 degrees and go stare at that wall.
That's why you're an extra, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, they say there's no small parts, but well,
can we get a better extra in here?
Wouldn't you be shattered?
Actually, I was watching the latest season of Game of Thrones on DVD, and the final episode, one of the audio commentaries has Cersei Lannister in it, and they're talking about it. What's the character? Lena Headey.
Lena Headey, yeah.
I always hate pronouncing her name because I always pronounce one of her names wrong. and someone says there's no small parts, it's just small actors or whatever, and she's like, well, I wouldn't say that necessarily, just throwing shade at someone, and I was really just living her character, and I was like, well done.
Yeah, they know who I'm talking about.
I did notice though at the end, Daniel obviously has been Michael Shank's been working out a little bit. If you notice when they're getting their ergos taken out, he's got the old the black shirt, just the sleeves folded up ever so slightly, just to show off the guns just a little bit.
Just show you my progress, fans.
Progress pic. It's the 2000 version of like a shirtless selfie in the mirror.
Yeah.
All right, that's episode 59 of Stargate SG-1 URGO. Next week for episode 60. What is the title
Well, it's funny you say that. I know it's a bit late. I'd like to introduce just a new segment.
Right.
I know you guys know I've been going through and.
Did you make something?
I made something. No, I didn't. MGM made something. It wasn't Origins.
Was this back in the day?
Is this half an episode of Origins?
So no. I've been going through the DVD special features because I do feel bad that Rhys can't appreciate them the same way we get to.
Yeah.
And we've had all the crew dossiers and all that sort of stuff. Well, what they've started doing is actually including on the DVDs the previews for next week.
Right.
So we can actually find out how they marketed, the film. I'm assuming these are actually the TV spots.
So early 2000s.
Yeah. So this is a segment I like to call On the Next Stargate SG-1.
On the next Stargate SG-1, their mission was to explore a strange new world.
I've never seen the fire rain in the light of day.
If just one big meteor lands within a few miles of here, the result of the explosion could wipe out the entire village.
But what they found was a planet facing Armageddon.
Is there anything we can do to stop it?
No.
Now, to rescue an entire population,
You can't evacuate an entire planet.
Colonel Jack O'Neill is in a race against time.
All right, folks, train's leaving. Let's move.
But for him, time
We're losing wormhole stability.
has just run out.
You can't go home.
Richard Dean Anderson stars next time on Stargate SG-1.
Richard Dean Anderson and Richard Dean Anderson.
The rest, Richard Dean Anderson stars.
Beef it up a bit, mate.
I love it how he's like, time.
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
That was my favourite.
Don't want to close my eyes.
We can't evacuate a whole planet.
Sleep 'cause I'd miss you,
Tilk.
and I don't want to miss a thing.
Well, that'll be next week. What is the episode called? What do we got?
100 days.
100 days. There we go.
I have
100
to say,
days.
I always used to get confused with Brief Candle because those people lived for 100 days.
Yeah.
So you should.
Oh, yeah.
So no pizza cake?
No pizza pie in that one.
It was a pizza, not a cake.
That's next week, episode 60 of Stargate with Get in a Gate. We'll all
Starring
be back.
Richard Dean Anderson.
In the meantime, you can catch us on the socials, like and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Search Get in a Gate, a Stargate podcast. getinagate@gmail.com or individually, Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram is where you can find me. Matty, where are you?
Me at Instagram.
Oh, okay, that was it. I am Matt the Brendan Gibson on Instagram.
Rhys, what do you got?
At the Flying Gibson. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
If you are joining us for the first time, you can check out all of our old podcasts, all previous 58 episodes. We don't necessarily sing in every one of them, but you can go back and find out for yourself. Until then, we will see you back next weekend for more Stargate SG-1 talk on Get It a Gates. Hey!
GetIntoGeek.com.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Oh, you'll dance to that, but not bloody This Girl's on Fire.
Nah, f*** that.
It's a fucking joke!
Every week.
Oh,
Every
sorry.
week with this guy.
See ya.
Every week.
See ya.